Welcome back to Tennessee Frugal Craftsman, and I want to do a short video on something I've noticed about my sawing of lumber. I've titled this "To Sweep or Not to Sweep?" That is the question. Now what I mean by that is when you take your lumber, fresh cut lumber off a sawmill, you know, my little Woodland Mills has seen a lot of that, and you put it in stacks as we have here. Should you actually sweep off the excess of sawdust coming off the, you know, this left over from the sawing process? As a general rule, when I'm doing larger stuff, 2x10s, 2x12s, even the long 2x6, 2x4, I have a tendency to sweep it off. However, when it came to a lot of my boards and my 2x4s, like my studding and 2x6, I wasn't. I was like, well, you know, not gonna. Originally I was. The last year when I was milling, I did. This is what I found has happened. When I leave the sawdust on, now if there's a piece that's out close to the outside edge, it's not too bad. So this one here, you can see there's still quite a bit of sawdust on it. It's dry. So this piece was probably close to the outside edge. Now here's the same stack coming off, you know, the same run. It's closer to the middle, and the sawdust is still on it, and it held the moisture a lot longer to the point where mold formed. You can see, you know, kind of the discoloration. So you can see the comparison between the two. One on the outside of the pile, one closer to the middle. And neither of them swept. Now, when I'm planing, it's not, you know, a major concern for me, because when I'm planing, I remove a lot of that messiness off the piece. So you can see here, you know, here's some of my plain stuff. Now in all fairness, I mean, there's discoloration in some of this, which happens especially with pine. It gets that bluish color. But I have found that my material that I sweep, or the material that's closer to the outside that I didn't sweep, when I run that through the planer, there's very little, so these ones are done, very little discoloration. Now you can see some of those pieces down there have discoloration. Again, that's because they were closer to the middle of the pile. And especially, I'm coming to the end of this pile here, that's where I'm getting this material. Especially what I found is the stuff that was right in the middle of the stack. So the stuff up higher, you know, the first 2 or 3 rows dried fairly well. The stuff down here, that I was taking a while to work on this material, and it had a chance to dry a bit. But when I took right at milling a lot of this studding and got a big stack of green stuff right in the middle that wasn't swept off, what ended up happening is that mold formed on it. Now again, not a major issue if you're planing, but for those of you who aren't planing and just plan on using, you know, stick drying it and using it for construction, my suggestion would be to make sure you sweep it off. One, get as much of that loose sawdust off because it holds the moisture. Two, when you're stacking your lumber, now I stack at 7/8 of an inch thick. I'll just turn around here so you can see. All of my stuff has 7/8 stickers on it. I wouldn't go much less than that. Matter of fact, the recommendation is 2 inches, which I think is, you know, that's ideal, but my goodness, you'd have stacks here half as high again by the time you add 2 inches every time. So I would suggest at least 7/8. That seems to be working for me when you have, you know, good airflow and have them swept off. That seems to be working well. So 7/8 of an inch stickers to 1 inch. Sweep them off, and the last thing I would suggest is put spaces between your pieces. So you can see here, you know, I leave 1/4 of an inch spaces as a general rule, especially my big stuff, because I want it to dry faster. And so I give myself those spaces in there to allow the air to flow this way as well as through it this way. And like I said, on these studding, I tried to do that too, but right in the middle, some of them got close together and I didn't sweep them off. And the next thing you know, you got mold growing. Now, this is the stuff that I've planed. And I've shown you some of this before, but I just want to explain a couple things. So here's some studding, 2x6 studding that I've done. You will notice there's almost 3/8 of an inch spacing between all of those, plus the 7/8. So it's got lots of airflow. The other thing that I've done with all of my lumber, besides stickering it, is I took, and I've noted this before, I've dipped everything. Now the chemical that I dip it in is Timbor. It's a simple solution. You can look at one of my earlier videos on it. Actually, I'll post it there at the bottom of the screen. You'll see it in a little note. I dip it in Timbor. This is what it comes in. Comes in 25-pound containers. That's running about $100 to $105 for a container of that. I've ordered 15 pails of that. I've gone through 15 pails. And I'm dipping pretty much everything, so I've got, you know, 40,000 plus board feet. So, I mean, it's pricey, but the thing about Timbor is it fights not only wood-boring insects, it also fights fungus. And so when I was spraying it earlier in one of my other videos, and again I'll note it, last winter when I was early winter, I had salvaged a bunch of offcuts from another property. They had made really wide offcuts, and I'd stacked them. Well, I guess it was over in this stack here. It's gone now. And what ended up happening is, again, I didn't sweep it off. I just threw it there and stickered it. And what happened is, because the mold had already started in it at the previous place, it just took off and, I mean, covered that whole nice stack of clear pine. I did the question, you know, should I burn it? Burn it or keep it? What I did is I got my Timbor out. I had some solution made up, and I sprayed it all. I laid a good coat of Timbor over the whole thing. Some people were saying, well, you're adding water to it, you should just use straight Clorox, which is fine, but Clorox is very expensive per gallon, and this stuff cost me about $8 per gallon, which I already had mixed up. And again, that previous video gives you the solution, the ratios of what I use. But the Timbor combined with I dump to a large 25-pound mix of like 1 pail of Timbor, I add 3 gallons of antifreeze concentrate. I don't use the 50-50 mix, I use the concentrate, which is a mix that a guy out of Florida told me about. Anyway, when I put that on, it stopped the mold in its tracks. So there's enough chemical antifungal in it to actually stop that. And so all of this stuff that I've got stacked now, drying, air drying, has been dipped, planed and dipped, all sized. I'm about 2/3 plus done. This is the last of the interior 8-foot studding. I do have a stack of 9s and 10s left. There's the 9s over there. And then that big stack of rafter material and my 2x6 rafter material. So those are my 2 big ones left. So hopefully take it that next week. That'll be the last one in the basement area. But just wanted to do a quick video on the importance of sweeping off your lumber. Whatever method you use, whether you blow it off, I like just to get with my a good coarse industrial broom and just sweep it off, and that seems to help. And like I said, you get a chance to get some good spacing in your lumber. It'll stop that. And there's nothing better than when you're running dry lumber that's not been moldy and it just comes out nice and bright and white. That pine is beautiful. And also if you're wanting to use it for finish material, you could. So that's the video for today. I just thought I would share, something I just noticed as I was putting this stack through. Might be of help to you. So anyway, as always, appreciate you joining me. If you would, please like and subscribe. Until next time, you have a great day.